Hello, today is Thursday, October 31st, 2019. I'm Joe Schmidt from TC2, and this is Staying Connected. This is part 2 of our podcast about optimizing the end-user experience, and I'm again joined by my TC2 colleague, David Lee. Based on the feedback we received from part 1, many of you are finding this to be a pretty interesting and timely topic. As a reminder, in part 1, we covered the challenges and the issues of optimizing the end-user experience. In the second part, we are going to discuss the possible tools, technologies, and services that are now available to optimize the end-user experience using cloud exchange service providers as well as infrastructure management solutions. Okay, David, thanks for joining me once again.
Thanks, Joe. Glad to be here on Hallows Eve, October 31st. And as a bit of trivia, did you know that Halloween was created by the church in the 8th century, celebrating the Feast of All Saints? And rumor has it that this is how donuts were invented. Just thought I'd throw that little trivia in, given a special day here.
Well, no, I didn't know that, but thanks for sharing. So, David, what are we going to cover today?
Yes, Joe, as we mentioned in part 1, the question for the CEO and the CIO is what are their end user expectations for accessing all the enterprise applications, whether they reside in the traditional data center, a co-located data center, a cloud-based application, or a software as a service application. Most end users probably don't know and maybe even don't care if the apps they want to use are cloud-based. They just want them to work reliably each and every time. So today, we're going to review the services and tools that can help the enterprise with these challenges.
You know, this is really a fairly new and, I guess, an interesting issue for the CIOs and CTOs of the world. So, David, what are the key solutions, the services, and the tools to address this new enterprise challenge?
Right, Joe. That's a great question. There are 2 key solution areas, really, that address these end-user challenges. Number 1, the cloud exchange providers. And number 2, infrastructure management tools and solutions. So firstly, cloud exchange providers, they deliver co-location, powered rack services, cross-connect to cloud service providers like Amazon, Google, etc. They also can provide communications among their data center locations, as well as serving up content closer to the end user. This provides a lower latency experience. That's number 1, and at a high level. Number 2, using the latest infrastructure management solutions allows the enterprise to pinpoint the cause of a performance slowdown or outages beyond the traditional closed data center boundaries and far into the cloud. In short, infrastructure management allows IT to reduce what's called the mean time to diagnose, which is critical to meeting the end user's expectations. As we discussed in part 1, the end users are still expecting a low latency experience for their corporate applications, regardless of where it is hosted.
So can you talk a bit more about cloud exchange providers and infrastructure management solutions? So, like, who are the providers and what do they bring to the table?
Right. Great question, Joe. There are actually a number of globally capable cloud exchange providers. Examples include Equinix, Digital Realty, and Cyxtera Megaport, just to name a few. Their key benefits are access to a variety of cloud service providers from their nearest data center to you. Also, large bandwidth connectivity to hundreds of partners. And we'll get into more of that a little later on in the podcast, but also provide the high availability and redundant infrastructure from these colo data centers that matches your mission-critical business requirements.
Now, in my experience, it seems like Equinix is the go-to provider. What do you think?
Yeah, they've been in the news a lot. I think everyone hears that and reads about that. Equinix is the largest. They've really been gobbling up smaller providers, data centers, and infrastructure over the past several years. In fact, they have over 200 data centers globally, and they have partnerships, I think, with over 2,000 cloud service providers, telecom carriers, and content and digital media companies. I mean, for example, Bloomberg and Reuters. So you can get not just access to cloud service providers, but also feeds and other content. Secondly, Digital Realty also delivers globally, taking a real estate approach. They are a real estate investment trust or REIT that invests in carrier-neutral data centers and provides co-location and peering services. So the acceleration of cloud uptake, along with the emergence of cloud-dependent trends such as big data analytics, mobility, and Internet of Things, this quote-unquote man-in-the-middle service, I think, will be really crucial for enterprises going forward. And the other key area that's required to support the enterprise multi-cloud environment is this near real-time visibility into the multi-cloud environment and ability to understand your performance from your end user's perspective end-to-end, as well as the ability to diagnose the bottlenecks in those clouds. And so as the enterprise moves into digital transformation and into that space, you're migrating to the cloud, be it Azure, AWS, Office 365. You're starting to rely on so many of these external cloud services and those dependencies on those cloud services.
David, what's the biggest concern for enterprises as they become more cloud dependent?
Visibility into the cloud, Joe. It becomes absolutely critical. Our clients' IT execs say that visibility is their biggest cloud issue. And really the cloud creates a blind spot for the CIO. While there are native cloud monitoring services and tools provided by Microsoft and Amazon, they have their own issues from a NetOps departmental perspective. For example, native cloud monitoring services or service goes dark when the cloud service goes down. Also, there's no end-to-end view across the cloud providers, regions, or availability zones. So it's important to note that as part of this visibility and performance view that SD-WAN does provide better network performance by optimizing the channel for the application and provides more accessible network analytics and visibility into the network. However, even with a comprehensive SD-WAN solution, there still are gaps. The enterprise needs a monitoring and management solution which addresses all of the monitoring needs end-to-end, including the application layer, hop-by-hop analytics, and full path visibility. So examples of solutions that provide this end-to-end hop-by-hop analytics and visibility into the cloud are providers such as Thousand Eyes and Accedian, just to name a couple. These are providers that fill the gap for an end-to-end view of infrastructure in a multi-cloud environment.
Okay, thanks, David. You've provided a lot of great information today in the first part of this two-part podcast series. Now, before we end today's podcast, let me just one last time plug the one-day conference that TC2 and LB3 will be hosting in New York City on Thursday, November 7th, so that's just a week away. At the conference, David will be presenting on optimizing the end-user experience, so you don't want to miss that. And our other colleagues will be sharing their knowledge and experience to help you deliver innovation and cost savings to your company through infrastructure and network service deals. If you would like to learn more about the conference or optimizing the end-user experience, or maybe you have other ICT lifecycle needs, you can contact David, me, or any of our LB3 and TC2 colleagues by giving us a call or sending us an email. You can also stay current by subscribing to Staying Connected on iTunes, Google Play, CastBox, Spotify, YouTube, and lots of other platforms. I also encourage you to check out our new websites, and you can also follow us on LinkedIn.